Alright, everybody, let's talk about The People Under the Stairs by Wes Craven, written and directed. He read a newspaper that inspired him to make this movie. I'm not sure what the story was. I think it was just some guy broke into a house and then got stuck in there or something. I forget what it was, but that's kind of how he writes all of his movies. He gets inspired by newspapers. That's how he came up with Nightmare on Elm Street. He saw a newspaper about some guy in a foreign country dying in his sleep. So this is another one of those cases where he read a paper and got inspired to make a movie. And there's supposed to be a remake coming out within the next couple of years by Jordan Peele. He's producing it. And this movie, of course, stars Ving Rhames, and it has Everett McGill and Wendy Robie. And those two actors, the people who played the brother and sister in this movie, they played a husband and wife in Twin Peaks, and that's why Wes Craven chose them. He liked them in that. And they basically play a husband and wife in this movie also. And we got Sean Whalen, who's done all kinds of horror movies. This was his film debut, and originally his character Roche was supposed to be played by Hilary Swank at one moment. And so yeah, let's talk about this movie. Plot synopsis, you got this kid, he's like 13 years old, his name's the Fool. They find out where the landlords live, the rich landlords who are kicking him out of his apartment, him and his family. His mom's sick with cancer, and him and Ving Rhames, they find out where the landlords live. They're going to go steal the money and gold coins that they hear they have stashed away somewhere. But once they break in, they get locked up in there and they have to fight to survive and escape this place with the money. There's quite a few elements to this story that was reminding me of Don't Breathe. I mean, they have like a Rottweiler dog, just like in Don't Breathe. They break into a place. They think that the people that live there are ordinary people. It would be easy, just in and out. But then they get locked in there, just like, the blind man. They underestimated him, and they're underestimating this crazy couple. Very Don't Breathe, but this is way before that, and it's not exactly the same premise. It's just kind of similar. But let's talk about the things that I liked about this movie. I really like the score, and it's not, the same type of score throughout. It changes it up a bit. Like, there's moments where it's just stringed instruments, and it sounds like something I've heard in like A24 films recently, like very eerie and ominous. And then there's other moments where it's more energetic and kind of has a beat to it. The score changes up throughout, and I really liked all of the music in here. And by Don Peake, some good gore too. There's some very good gore in just a couple of brief moments. This one's not a very bloody, gory movie, but man, there is just a couple of small moments where there's like a severed hand getting chewed on by a dog, and a guy who's already dead, like getting gutted, and they're like feeding dead people to these people under the stairs. Very gruesome stuff, and it looked really realistic, some of that gore. I like the story setup here. We got, just 13-year-old boy. We understand what he's going through. We see his life. They set it up very quickly. We see what it's like to live in his neighborhood. It's terrible. You got dogs eating just dead animals in the hallways of their apartment. It's just not a good place to live in. So you completely feel bad for this guy. You feel bad for his whole family. And you understand their motivation, why they need this money, and you're just on board. You're hoping they succeed. I like the setup to the story, and the boy actor is actually pretty good for like a 13-year-old boy. I thought he actually gives a solid performance. It's not terrific or anything, but I think he gives a pretty good performance for a child actor. And I really like some of the set designs. I mean, this movie is all about the house. The house is a character in this movie. It is bizarre, with all kinds of secret passageways and just hidden doors. Like, I really like the way this house looks. It's very dilapidated, which is kind of odd. I mean, these people are rich. They could afford the best looking place, but they just let it go to shit for some reason. This house is just awful. And I like that Wes Craven was able to read that newspaper article and make a unique concept out of it with relevant themes even today. And there's lots of subtext in the movie, lots of underlying, messages to the film. This movie is basically like class warfare, rich versus the poor. It's just about inequality. This movie's about, classism and, how the poor are treated unfairly. So I like that this is a horror movie with a positive message and just plenty of meat on its bones, things to chew on, and things that are symbolic, lots of symbolism in the movie. So I really like that. As for the things I didn't really care for, this movie's got a very weird, bizarre tone to me, and I just didn't care for it. I wish they would have went further in one direction or the other. For the most part, this movie feels like it's trying to take itself, very seriously and be as creepy as it can. The concept is creepy. When you see all these people under the stairs and the way they look, it seems like it's being a serious, legit horror movie, but then at the same time, it's got these little goofy elements thrown in. A guy in a gimp suit, and the main villains in this movie, mommy and daddy, they call themselves. They kind of ham it up, their performances. They just go a little over the top. I wish they would dial that down. Like, they should have went more in one direction or the other. Like, be very serious, be as macabre and dark as you can with this concept, or just go balls to the wall crazy, be very funny, entertaining, just make me laugh. And it didn't do either one. I wasn't really scared by this movie because I don't get scared easily, but still, like, watching this movie objectively, I'm like, is this scary? Not really. I mean, there's some creepy things in it. The people under the stairs, the way they look, and some of the good gore in here, but there wasn't enough. And then the silliness of the movie, the guy in a gimp suit, their performances, things they're saying, burn in hell. They keep saying it like 40 times, and it's not funny to me. So this movie wasn't really scary and it wasn't funny, but that's just my opinion, of course. But yeah, it just didn't work for me as a comedy horror or as a serious horror movie. And this movie just lacks that entertainment value, that rewatchability that I like in a horror movie, something that I can see myself watching like once a year. I don't see myself watching this one ever again. Like, I see that it's technically a good movie, it's well made, but it's not my kind of horror movie. It's just, I get kind of bored with the whole cat and mouse chase through the house, going through all the different, chutes and ladders. I mean, this house is insane. But I just get kind of bored by the third act, and I kind of start to lose interest. And this is just a little nitpick, and I understand why they did it. It's, for character development. It's, to give the kid character that hero moment. I just don't buy that he would go back to the house. Once he escapes, he comes back, and the movie turns into a save the girl kind of plot. Yeah, he's got to be Mario and save the princess. I just don't buy it. I don't see why this kid would go back, especially by himself at first. But final thoughts, this is a well-made movie. It's got some good cinematography. It's got a really good score, some decent gory moments in it, just not as much as I personally would have wanted. I wish they would have went more one direction or the other, make it very, very dark and gruesome, and make these villains in the movie more serious and scary, or just go the other direction, ham it up even more, make it all funny, make it all silly, and still have that message to the film. Just choose one. Don't try to walk the line between both like this movie does, because it didn't work for me. It wasn't that scary, and it wasn't really funny to me either. So for me, I gotta say, when it comes to The People Under the Stairs, still a movie worth checking out. One of Wes Craven's best movies, especially from the 90s. Check it out. Give it a watch. Stream it or borrow it from a friend or rent it at Redbox. Time for a spoiler discussion. So we got the girl from Dream Child, which is a Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, sequel. And, Wes Craven made the first one, so yeah, little connection there. And so this movie opens up with these tarot cards, and there's some foreshadowing here. It's the card says the Fool, and it's like a picture depicting this fool like jumping off a ledge, and he's being chased by a dog. And of course, later on, our character, the Fool, is being chased around the house by a dog, and then he eventually jumps off a ledge near the roof into the pond. So some foreshadowing here in the beginning. We got a lot of the N-word being said here by Everett McGill, and so yeah, I don't think you would hear that today unless you're a Quentin Tarantino film. And I love the line when he's like, yeah, well, maybe the president will make me Secretary of Pussy. That's the one funny line in the movie that actually made me laugh. I did find it kind of humorous that Spencer died with the gold coin still in his hand, like he was like clenching on it for dear life. Even though he was bleeding out and dying down there, he still had the gold coin in his hand. Rigor mortis, just keeping that in his hand. And so yeah, get rich or die trying, right? So they lock the dog out in this other area, and somehow the dog not only is outside with the owners when they arrive, somehow got outside, even though this is like a impossible to escape house. The dog found the way out. They come back inside, and it starts like busting down this metal door. Was that the dog busting that metal door down, or was it the owners kicking a hole for it? I mean, this dog seems like it's Superman. And I love that they shock the dog when they're like grabbing the door handle, and it like the electricity goes through both of them into the dog and shocks the shit out of it. Then Leroy gets shot, and I was actually kind of surprised because I thought he was going to make it further into the movie than he did. He actually gets dispatched pretty early, and I feel like they should have kept him around a little bit longer. Maybe have more moments between him and Fool, like working together. I probably would have liked that better. I don't know, maybe it was a mistake killing him so early. Just saying. Um, yeah, and it looks like they eat each other down there. Like the whole concept is weird. Like, why are they keeping them alive? Who are they exactly? I think they said at one moment like they're kids that they were trying to raise to be like the perfect son or daughter, but then they just kind of gave up on them and threw them in the basement. But they're keeping them alive. Why? Why go through the trouble of having to feed them all the time? And I don't know. Like, why are they keeping them alive? And I mean, it's brutal. Like they have to like some of them are eating each other. It looks like to survive. Man, what's with the gimp suit? What's that mean? Is there what's the subtext to that? Are they saying that that's how rich people are? They're just a bunch of crazy people fucking each other in gimp suits. And so I don't know. The gimp suit thing was just weird. I didn't care for that. He's just shooting the walls. He seems to have infinite amount of ammo, just like shooting shotgun shell after shotgun shell. Never seems to reload it. And it just keeps blasting his walls away. I mean, they don't care that they're destroying their house. They're all about the money. They're so greedy. It's just about the cash. And they don't want to spend the cash. They just want to look at it in their house. That's who these people are. They're not buying, materialistic things. It's not I mean, look at their house. They don't care. They just love the money. We find out that they are brother and sister, not husband and wife. Has this been like a family tradition? Were the other generations above them like that? Are they always just fucking each other? Or is it just this generation of, we don't even know their names. Ebison, I think it said on the wall at one point. Did their granddaddies fuck each other? Is it just them? They decided to start this incestuous thing now? They're just so greedy. They don't want to keep the family line going. They just want to keep all the riches for themselves and die with it. No one, don't pass it down to anyone else. They're just that fucking greedy. They don't really go that far with it. We don't actually see them even kiss each other. They don't fuck at any moment. So this movie kind of holds it, holds the reins and pulls back on it. They don't go for it. They don't go for the nastiness. They just imply it. The amount of space in between these rooms and the walls is crazy. It's just like it's a freaking maze, this house. It looks a lot bigger on the inside than the outside. We see that they're cutting tongues out of their victims, like, so they can speak no evil, hear no evil, see no evil. They're burning some of their eyes out, and then they're giving them flashlights for some reason. I guess it keeps them happy. That Alice girl makes those two dolls very quickly. Like, she sees them, and then, like, the next moment, she has these dolls that are just custom made very quickly with the same exact outfits on as the people. It just seemed a little unrealistic how fast she made those dolls. Another thing that was just quickly put together, it seems, was that trap that went right through the wall of all the spikes. When was that thing set up? I mean, that came out of nowhere. I'm like, holy shit. Like, did they just build that trap after they broke in, or was that already set up there in the hallway? What was with the wall of picks? They don't really put enough focus on that. There's this whole room of candles, like 1,000 candles. I mean, Jesus Christ, overboard. But there's like a million different photos. Is that like all the people who work for them, or all their tenants, all the people they're kicking out of their apartments? Who are all those people? Just victims? The people under the stairs? I mean, I'm just curious who those pictures were supposed to represent. So he goes to a phone booth and puts money in it to call the police. I don't think you need to pay for that phone booth, but I've never been in one. But I would assume it's free to call the police, right? But maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, he puts money in, calls the police, and he's like, I'd like to report a case of child abuse. And boy, do they show up. I mean, there's like 6 cop cars outside. There's everybody. I mean, they take that shit seriously in LA. And they don't find a single trace of blood or any kind of disturbance at all. Really, there's no reason to investigate further in this house. They don't see like a million gunshot holes all over the walls that this guy's been doing. I call bullshit. I mean, they do explain that they like put horse tranquilizers in all the people down there to keep them quiet and to shut up. So they explained that, but they never went in the basement at all. Like, they would search that entire house. I mean, they would, and they didn't see what the hell was going on down there. And another thing I have to question is, I do like the scene where they're like breaking out of the walls later. All the people, they're fighting back. They're just breaking out of the walls in the kitchen and the stairs. They're breaking out from under the stairs. Cool stuff. But You're telling me that they're able to break out of those walls and those wooden stairs very easily, but yet they can't break out of their own prisons down there, which is made of the same material, just wooden planks in front of their cells? Like, why can't they break out? Especially after the guy shoots the freaking wooden planks and he's like weakening the surface. They could break out of their little hellhole easily if they wanted to. You do have to stretch disbelief when watching this movie, because I can't understand how it's so difficult to leave this place. You would think that there would be like strength in numbers and they could just all fuck this guy up, especially when he actually enters their cell at one point with the gun. They could all tackle him and take over and get the gun from him. I mean, maybe it's because they're blind, some of them, and they don't see him. I don't know. But yeah, Fool, he sneaks back in, and I guess he somehow got the entire neighborhood to join him. You know, like he goes in first, but then a few minutes later, they're knocking on the door, and the entire neighborhood of all these people that they've evicted from their homes or are going to, they all turn up. Fool, he finds the room of gold and cash, and he somehow is an electrician now. He's a bomb expert. He knows about wiring and shit, and he like somehow hooks up the dynamite to where if he puts like this cord up against this cord, it's gonna blow up. Did he set that up himself, or was it one of the other people under the stairs? This guy is like a bomb expert now. And dynamites in movies like this, they never work the way dynamites would really work. That dynamite would blow up the entire fucking house, and they would be in pieces, but instead, when the dynamite explodes right in front of the dude, he just goes flying back instead of just igniting. And like, it's bullshit, but whatever, it's just a movie. And then the dynamite somehow also explodes the cash outside the windows and up the chimney instead of just igniting all the cash in that room. But yeah, it's whatever. It's just so that we can see, you know, the rich distributing the wealth to all the poor people outside. You know, it's just for the message. It's the symbolism. You know, I get it. They all get the money and they live happily ever after. It's a happy ending. And those are my thoughts on The People Under the Stairs. What did you think about this movie? Put your thoughts of it in the comments below, where you rank it in your Wes Craven filmography. Let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, Auf Wiedersehen.